University Challenge. Asking the questions and more granted.
Hello and welcome to another match in the quarter-final stage of this year's University Challenge. Last time, Christ College, Cambridge became the first team through to this series' semi-finals. This match, however, is an elimination match. Both the teams playing tonight lost their first quarter-finals, and whoever loses again tonight will become the 21st team to leave this year's competition. Imperial came into this round having scored a phenomenal 655 points across their first two games, with their opponents, Manchester and Wadham College, Oxford, managing just 100 between them. In their first quarter-final, however, they were narrowly beaten by Christ College, Cambridge, the first time an Imperial team has lost in this competition since March 2021. For a team of scientists, they know a lot about film, fine art and food and drink, but seemingly not so much about poetry. With an average score of 270 so far, let's meet the Imperial team once again.
Hi, I'm Charlotte Stokes. I'm originally from Chester and I'm studying a Masters in Applied Genomics.
Hi, I'm Mathiel Kabi. I'm from South London and I'm studying chemistry.
And their captain?
Hi, I'm Matthew Spry. I'm from Gateshead and I'm studying for a PhD in electrochemistry.
Hi, I'm Jaime Salamanca Camacho. I'm from Madrid, Spain, and I'm studying a Master's in Quantum Fields and Fundamental Forces.
The team from Queen's University Belfast qualified for these quarter-finals by beating first Liverpool and then Cardiff by a comfortable margin both times. In their first quarter-final, however, against Warwick, they didn't really get going until the last few minutes of the match, by which time Warwick had built up an insurmountable lead. Across those three games, they've scored full marks on subjects ranging from urban planning to historical figures whose names begin with Z, but fared less well when faced with diagrams of physics experiments. With an average score so far of 170, let's meet the team from Queen's once more.
Hi, I'm Sarah Carlisle. I'm from Balnahinch and I'm studying English with creative writing.
Hi, I'm Jason McKillen. I'm from Belfast. I'm studying for a PhD in artificial intelligence.
And their captain.
Hi, I'm Daniel Rankin from County Down, studying politics, philosophy and economics.
Hi, I'm Sam Thompson. I'm from Limavady and I'm studying physics.
Very nice to see you guys. You know how this works, so let's just get cracking, shall we? Right, fingers on buzzers. Here's your first starter for 10. I need a precise name here. Consisting of hundreds of small islets, atolls and reefs, the Spratly Islands are located in what peripheral sea of the Pacific?
Imperial Spry.
South China Sea.
It is, well done. Your bonuses, Imperial, are 3 questions on the Polish philosopher Katarzyna de Lazary Radek. A professor at the University of Łódź, Lazary Radek is noted for collaborations with which leading philosopher of bioethics and animal rights, born in Melbourne in 1946?
Singer.
Yeah.
Singer?
Yes, Peter Singer. One of these collaborations, The Point of View of the Universe, includes lengthy discussion of which British philosopher who died in 2017. His works include On What Matters and Reasons and Persons.
I don't know.
Derek Parfit.
It is the great Derek Parfit. Well done. Lazary Radek and Singer co-authored a book in the Very Short Introduction series on what secular ethical theory? It is the subject of an 1861 essay by John Stuart Mill.
On like utilitarianism.
Utilitarianism.
It was, yeah.
Nice.
Let's start a question now. In 2012, which American actor, comedian and filmmaker founded the production company Monkey Paw Productions? Films...
Queen's Rankin.
Jordan Peele.
It is Jordan Peele, well done. Your bonuses then, Belfast, are on the British author and cartoonist Daryl Cunningham, noted for his graphic non-fiction books. Cunningham's 2019 work, Billionaires, is a graphic analysis of the lives and influence of Rupert Murdoch, Jeff Bezos, and which American siblings who made their money in oil and gas?
Koch brothers, isn't it?
Yes.
The Koch brothers?
Yes. Which Russian-born US novelist appears in the subtitle of Cunningham's 2015 work, The Age of Selfishness? It examines how this author's ideas influenced the policies that led to the 2008 economic crash, for example, those of the economist Alan Greenspan.
Ayn Rand.
It is indeed. Graphic science comprises portraits of scientists that Cunningham feels have not won the recognition they deserve. They include which pioneer of paleontology born in Dorset in 1799?
Any idea?
No clue.
No, we'll pass.
It's Mary Anning. Let's start the question. In which century did all of these occur? The collapse of the western dome of the Hagia Sophia after an earthquake. Eric the Red's discovery of Greenland. The Christianization of Kievan Rus. In China, the collapse of the Tang dynasty.
Queen's ranking.
10th century.
It is the 10th century. Well done. 3 questions for you, Queens, on places that have been likened to Gibraltar. Which city on the River Alzette was known as the Gibraltar of the North from the 18th century? After an international crisis in the 1860s, its fortifications were dismantled and it became the capital of a newly sovereign country.
Was that Northern Sovereign in the 1860s?
I'm thinking one of the Baltic republics.
Yeah.
Slovenia.
No, it wouldn't be in the 1860s. Not Poland.
Estonia, possibly.
No, it wouldn't be. Sweden, Norway, maybe Norway or something?
Norway's 1905, so Sweden.
Yeah. Okay. It's not. Denmark, maybe?
Maybe, go for it now.
Come on.
Denmark.
No, it's Luxembourg. Captured by the Japanese in May 1942, Corregidor, then sometimes called the Gibraltar of the East, is an island off the Botany Peninsula, close to which capital city?
It's Manila. It was a bit that much as the Philippines, wasn't it? So Manila. Yeah.
Manila.
Yes. Situated to the south of his Casterbridge, which limestone peninsula or isle did Thomas Hardy call the Gibraltar of Wessex?
No idea.
No.
Yeah, we'll pass.
It's the Isle of Portland. Let's start a question, and this is a picture round. For your picture starter, you're going to see a map highlighting a national reserve. 10 points if you can give me its name.
Queen's ranking.
Kilimanjaro.
No.
Imperial El Kubi.
Serengeti.
No. Bad luck. It's the Masai Mara in Kenya. Let's start a question. We'll take your picture bonuses when you get the next starter right. I need 2 answers promptly here. In physics, the molar or universal gas constant may be defined as the product of 2 other eponymous physical constants. Name both.
Imperial Salamanca Camacho.
Avogadro's number and Boltzmann's constant.
Yes, correct. Well done. Your picture bonuses then. For your picture starter, you saw a map showing the Masai Mara National Reserve in Kenya, which was a major inspiration for Disney's The Lion King. For your picture bonuses, you need to identify 3 more places that have in some way been the inspiration for a Disney film. This time, in each case, you'll see a photograph of the place alongside a map. First.
Do we need this film?
The film is Brave, but...
We need the
Location. I don't know what that's called. Yeah. Pass.
You were right with the film reference. That is indeed Brave. That's the Kalanish Standing Stones. Secondly, this building.
This is Louisiana.
Yeah, so Princess and the Frog.
Cathedral of Louisiana.
Was it is that New Orleans?
Yes, New Orleans
Cathedral.
because
Just
it's
say
the
that.
lady on
New Orleans Cathedral?
Yeah.
Just say that. New Orleans Cathedral?
Yes, we can accept that. It's the St. Louis Cathedral, but it is the Cathedral of the Archdiocese of New Orleans. And finally, this location.
Mont Saint-Michel, isn't it? Yeah. Mont Saint-Michel.
Correct, well done. Let's start the question now. Described by writer Inua Ellams as safe, sacred spaces for British black men, what specific type of commercial establishment is named in the title of a 2017 play by Ellams set in 6 such businesses in cities including...
Queen's McKillen.
Barbershops.
It is barbershops, yes indeed. Your bonuses are on physics and chemistry. In each case, I'll give you a mathematical expression involving physical quantities. That expression, using the standard symbols for those quantities, gives the symbol of an element. I want the name of that element in each case. For example, if I were to ask, what is force times mass, the answer would be fermium, as its symbol is Fm. First, what element could be indicated simply by the symbol for the equilibrium constant in general?
Something beginning with E or...
So it's just going to be like a single.
Yeah. Try something like that.
Hydrogen.
Yeah, sure.
Hydrogen.
I think you knew, didn't you, Imperial? It's potassium, K being the symbol for both. Next, what element could be represented as reactance times elementary charge?
Ari, which is what?
Do you reckon?
Or what that is.
Could be H even if it's reference.
Yeah.
Try hydrogen or something like that. Helium. Yeah.
Helium.
No, that was xenon from Xe. Finally, what element is given by magnetic flux density times acceleration?
Could be sodium.
Sure. Anyway.
Oh no, hold on.
Go for it, let's see.
Sodium.
No, it's barium, Ba. Let's start the question. She came to test him, quote, with hard questions. These words from the biblical Book of Kings refer to which ancient queen, known as Bilqis in Islamic tradition and identified as Makeda in a medieval Ethiopian history?
Imperial Spry.
Queen of Sheba.
It is indeed, yes, well done. Your bonuses then, Imperial, are 3 questions on literary references to an architect. In his prose poem Lud Heat, Ian Sinclair reimagines which English Baroque architect as an occultist whose 6 complete churches are on lines of influence. A protege of Christopher Wren, he collaborated with John Vanbrugh on Castle Howard and Blenheim Palace.
It's Inigo Jones.
Inigo Jones was a bit earlier. I think Inigo Jones was earlier, but if you want to go with
I
Inigo.
can't name anyone else.
Yeah. Inigo Jones.
No, it's Nicholas Hawksmoor. Born in 1949, which British author wrote the postmodern novel Hawksmoor, in which a modern-day detective of this name investigates murders committed in imitation of a Baroque architect who consecrated his churches with human sacrifices?
Don't think so.
Pass.
It's Peter Ackroyd. The supposed occult geometry of Hawksmoor's churches is also referenced frequently in From Hell, a graphic novel about Jack the Ripper by which English author?
Alan Moore.
Yes, well done. Let's start the question now. Appearing in the title of a notable essay by Gayatri Spivak, what term in post-colonial theory originates in the prison notebooks of Antonio Gramsci, who employed it to refer to any class of people subject...
Queen's ranking.
Subaltern.
It is subaltern, yes, well done. Your bonuses are 3 questions on a video game engine. While at LucasArts in 1987, designer Ron Gilbert created an influential engine for point-and-click games known by the acronym SCUM. That's S-C-U-M-M. This stands for Script Creation Utility for what game? Co-created by Gilbert and set in the house of a mad scientist.
Any idea at all?
No idea.
No. MM.
Something mansion, maybe.
Mario's Mansion? I don't know.
No. Okay, Mario's Mansion.
That's a whole different world. No, it's Maniac Mansion. What is the title of Tim Schafer and Dave Grossman's 1993 sequel to Maniac Mansion, which was the last LucasArts game to use Gilbert's original SCUM interface? Time travel is notably central to both its plot and its puzzles.
There's one. Where in the world? Is it Grim Fandango?
Oh, I have no idea.
You could try that, yeah.
Go for it.
Nominate McCone.
Grim Fandango?
No, Grim Fandango was the first LucasArts point-and-click not to use this engine. In fact, it was Day of the Tentacle. A CD pirate bar named after the SCUM engine is a recurring location in which game series created by Gilbert and originally run on the engine. Its protagonist is hapless amateur pirate Guybrush Threepwood.
Any idea?
I have no idea.
Pirates?
Anything with pirates?
No idea.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
It's Monkey Island. Now let's start the question. MiC-60 and MiC-19 are proteins that form part of the MICOS, that's M-I-C-O-S, complex, in which eukaryotic cellular organelle. The MICOS complex is important in maintaining...
Queen's ranking.
Mitochondria.
It is mitochondria, yes. Your bonuses, Queens, are 3 questions on films about the banlieue of Paris. Described by the BFI as the most famous and formative of banlieue films, what 1995 film by Matthew Kassovitz stars Vincent Cassel?
La Haine.
Yes. Who directed Girlhood, a 2014 portrait of a black bande de filles, or teenage girl gang, in the Paris banlieue, starring Kharija Touré and Assa Silla? Her other films include Portrait of a Lady on Fire and Petite Maman.
Celine Sciamma?
Yeah. Sciamma.
Yes. Set in the banlieue of Montfermeil, Laj Lee's 2019 film about the spiralling consequences of a teenager's theft takes its title from what major work of French literature, first published in 1862?
Les Miserables.
It is indeed. Music round now, and for your music starter, you're going to hear a piece of popular music. For 10 points, name the band performing.
Queen's Carlisle.
The Water Boys.
It is indeed, yes, of course it is. That's The Whole of the Moon, and following on from The Water Boys, The Whole of the Moon, your music bonuses will be 3 more songs which make reference to the moon in their title. Name the artist in each case. First, this band.
Yeah, the whole band.
Come on.
The Police.
No, it's Echo and the Bunnymen with The Killing Moon. Secondly, this singer-songwriter.
Phoebe Bridgers.
Yeah, is it? Yeah.
Phoebe Bridgers.
Yes, with Moon Song. And finally, this singer-songwriter.
Is that Mark DeMarco?
No.
No, it sounds really like him, but I don't know if it is.
If no one else knows, go with it.
Mac DeMarco.
It is indeed Moonlight on the River. Well done. Another starter question now. Known as goma in Japanese, the small pear-shaped seeds of what drought-resistant plant yield a substance often referred to in Chinese as fragrant oil? One of the first oil-yielding plants to be cultivated, its seeds are used in the sweetmeat halva, or halwa, in tahini paste.
Imperial Stokes.
Sesame.
It is indeed. 3 questions for you, Imperial, on thin-film solar cells. The first examples of thin-film solar cells were based on a form of silicon known as ASI. The letter A here stands for what term, indicating that this form of silicon is non-crystalline, with its atoms instead forming a continuous random network?
Amorphous.
Yes. One of the lowest cost and most widely used types of thin-film solar cell is based on a compound of cadmium and which metalloid, the heaviest non-radioactive member of the chalcogen group?
One below germanium, tin.
Yeah, do you like tin?
No, it's tellurium. Another semiconductor material commonly used in thin-film solar cells is known by the abbreviation CIGS. Name any 2 of the 4 elements this abbreviation represents. 3 are metals, 1 is normally classed as a non-metal.
So maybe
CIGS.
cadmium, indium, germanium, sulfur.
Germanium, maybe?
Yeah.
Try that. Indium and germanium?
No, bad luck. It was copper, indium, gallium and selenium. Bad luck. Let's start the question. In the 1950s, in the later stages of his career, which major European artist produced a number of significant works that reinterpret paintings by other artists, including Massacre in Korea, which...
Queen's Rankin.
Picasso.
It is Picasso, well done. Your bonuses are on ancient writings about agriculture. The 12-volume agricultural work, De Re Rustica, was written by which Roman farmer from Hispania? The 10th book concerning gardening is in dactylic hexameter as a tribute to Virgil's Georgics.
From Spania.
Is Marcus Aurelius Spanish, wasn't he?
Was he?
And he talked about having gardens and how that was important. Could be Seneca as well.
No. Okay, Marcus Aurelius.
No, it's Columella. The Latin translation of a much older agricultural work by Mago influenced Columella and other Roman botanists and originated from which city-state conquered by Rome in 146 BC?
Carthage, yeah.
Carthage.
Yes. The oldest work of Latin prose to survive in its entirety is De Agricultura, a book by which Roman statesman, before the Third Punic War, he repeatedly ended his Senate speeches with the phrase, Carthage must be destroyed.
Cato. Yeah. Cato.
It is Cato the Elder, yes. Let's start a question. In an influential 1984 paper on artificial intelligence entitled A Theory of the Learnable, the Hungarian-born computer scientist Leslie Valiant introduced an algorithmic model now known as PAC. For what do the letters...
Imperial Spry.
Probably approximately correct.
It is absolutely correct. Well done. Your bonuses then, Imperial, are 3 questions on animals and their tongues. Northern, Maasai and reticulated are commonly recognised species of what
Giraffes.
Correct. Known in Malay as bruang, what small bears have unusually long tongues to help them seek out honey and insects in trees? Their common name comes from their distinctive light-coloured chest patch.
I think it's sunbears.
Yeah. Sun bears?
Yes, correct. Partially arboreal, the tamandua is a small species of what New World mammal? It belongs to the suborder Vermilingua, meaning worm tongue.
Maybe anteaters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe anteaters.
They have long tongues.
Anteaters?
Yes, correct. Let's start a question. Which 16th century statesman and courtier composed both the Elizabethan sonnet cycle, Astrophel and Stella, and the heroic prose romance, Arcadia? He died following military action against the Spanish in 1586. Anyone?
Imperial Stokes.
Spencer.
No. Anyone have a guess? Have a guess.
Queen's Rankin.
John Donne.
No, it's Sir Philip Sidney. Let's start the question. Give the names of both rivers, one a major tributary of the other, whose names appear in those of 2 British colonies that in 1910 became part of the Union of South Africa. Both colonies had formerly been independent Boer republics.
Queen's Rankin.
Orange and Limpopo.
No. Anyone from Imperial? You may not confer.
Imperial Salamanca Camacho.
Orange and Transvaal.
I'm so sorry, I can't accept that. The name of the river is just Vaal. Bad luck. The state Transvaal means across the river. Bad luck. It's Orange and Vaal. Let's start the question now. Derived from the past participle of the Italian verb to pinch, what musical term is used for a technique available...
Imperial El Kubi.
Pizzicato.
Well done, it is indeed. 7 minutes ago, your bonuses, Imperial, are on the inaugural TikTok UK and Ireland Book Awards. Held for the first time in 2023, these awards celebrate the books, independent bookshops, authors and creators that are loved by the BookTok community. The Best Book I Wish I Could Read Again for the First Time award went to Volume 1 of which LGBTQ+ graphic novel series by Alice Oseman. Recently adapted by Netflix, the novel revolves around the...
Heartstopper?
Yes. Which young adult author won the BookTok Author of the Year award? Her debut novel, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, was published in 2019.
No idea.
Don't think so.
Pass.
It's Holly Jackson. Described by its publishers as a memoir about growing up, growing older, and learning to navigate friendships, jobs, loss, and love, which 2018 memoir by Dolly Alderton received the Best Book to End a Reading Slump award?
I recognise that name, but I'm not going to.
Pass.
It's Everything I Know About Love. 5 points in it. Another starter question, it's a picture round. For your picture starter, you're going to see a photograph, and for 10 points, identify the person pictured.
Imperial Spry.
Sally Gunnell?
It is indeed Sally Gunnell. Well done. You saw there Sally Gunnell, who, as of April 2024, is the only female British athlete to have held World, Olympic, European and Commonwealth gold medals at the same time. Your picture bonuses will show 3 more British sports people who have achieved gold medals across all 4 of these major competitions. 5 points for each you can identify. First?
So it's Daley Thompson, is it? Yeah.
Daley Thompson?
Of course it is. Secondly?
Hannah Cockcroft.
Hannah Cockcroft?
Indeed. And finally?
Oh my God, what's he called?
What's
he
for?
do? I can't remember. I've seen his face so many times. I'm not going to get that.
Come on.
Pass.
It's Adam Peaty. Let's start the question. Fast Q, Fast A and Fast 5.
Imperial Stokes.
RNA sequencing.
Yes, I can accept that. Your bonuses are 3 questions on an art movement. Probably coined by Alfred H. Barr, what term denotes a movement in American art after World War I characterised by the application of a hard-edged, highly lucid style to industrial and agricultural subjects? Associated artists include Charles Sheeler, Preston Dickinson and Elsie Driggs.
I don't know.
American realism.
Yeah, was tonalism American?
Tonalism?
Come on.
Tonalism?
No, it's Precisionism. Notable Precisionist works by which artist include My Egypt, a painting of a grain elevator in his hometown of Lancaster.
Charles Demuth.
Yes. Which US artist produced a number of works in the Precisionist style while she was living in New York City in the 1920s, including moonlit street scenes, a panoramic view of the East River, and a notable painting of the Radiator Building?
Georgia O'Keeffe.
Yes, it is indeed. 4.5 minutes to go. Plenty of time, Queens. Born in 1942, which German economist wrote the 1976 paper Expectations and Exchange Rate Dynamics, in which he introduced a model that explains high levels of volatility in currency exchange rates, known as the overshooting model?
Imperial Spry.
Stigler.
No.
Queen's Rankin.
Schmidt.
No, it's really Dornbush. Let's start the question. Meaning those who face death, the term Peshmerga.
Queen's McKillop.
Kurdistan.
It is indeed. Well done. Your bonuses are questions on nationalism. In a collection of essays edited with Terence Ranger, which British historian introduced the idea of invented traditions, cultural practices that are presented or perceived as ancient and central to national identity, but are in fact recently and often artificially created?
Rogers Brubaker, maybe?
Dominic McKillen.
Rogers Brubaker?
No, it's Eric Hobsbawm. In a 1983 book of the same name, what 2-word term did Benedict Anderson coin to express how nations are the product of perceived comradeship between members of a group, despite that group being too large for them to interact as individuals?
Imagined communities.
Dominic McKillen.
Imagined communities.
It is indeed. Quote, nationalistic loves and hatreds are part of the makeup of most of us, whether we like it or not. But I do believe that it is possible to struggle against them and that this is essentially a moral effort. Who wrote these words in the 1945 essay Notes on Nationalism?
George Orwell. George Orwell.
It was indeed. Let's start the question. What links all of the following? The English title of a novel by Leela Slimani, winner of the 2016 Prix Goncourt, a jazz standard composed by George Shearing for the owner of a New York jazz club, and a 1989 single by The Cure from the album Disintegration.
Queen's Thompson.
Lullaby.
It is lullaby, yes. Your bonuses are on words that relate to the sharpness of an image. For example, clarity. In each case, give the single word that completes the following quotations. In the 1854 work, Walden, Henry David Thoreau calls for simplicity, 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 having stated that our life is frittered away by what?
You reckon? Fidelity.
No, it's detail. In his To Be or Not To Be speech, Hamlet says, conscience does make cowards of us all, and thus the native hue of what quality is sicklied over with the pale cast of thought?
And fidelity.
No, it's resolution. According to the novelist Samuel Butler, what is the enclosing a wilderness of idea within a wall of words?
Enclosing a wilderness of idea within a wall of words.
Story.
Poetry. A story.
A story.
No, it's definition. Now let's start a question. The windows of Exeter Cathedral are a prominent example of what architectural device whose types include plate and bar? It allows windows to be divided into intricate patterns and, more practically...
Imperial Salamanca Camacho.
Glass panes?
No, I'm afraid you lose 5 points. Supports the glass work.
Queen's Carlisle.
Tracery.
It is indeed tracery. Your bonuses are on 2-letter codes used for editions of Wikipedia in various languages. For example, the German edition is de.wikipedia. In each case, give the language from the abbreviation. All three are minority languages of Western Europe. First for 5 points, EU, that is Echo Uniform.
Euskera Basque.
Basque.
Yes. Second, FY, that is Foxtrot Yankee.
F-Y.
Faroe Islands or something.
Come on.
Faroese.
Faroese.
No, it's Frisk or Frisian. Finally, CY, that's Charlie Yankee.
Cypriot. Cypriot. Is that a language?
Come on.
Welsh.
It is Welsh. And they'll start a question. Meaning irregular, what word is represented by the letter A in the abbreviation UAP, now used by NASA for observations of events in the sky that cannot be identified?
Imperial Kubi.
Anomalous.
It is indeed anomalous. Your bonuses are 3 questions on books by Richard Dawkins. Which work by Dawkins is dedicated to the novelist Douglas Adams? The book has prompted extended debates between Dawkins and thinkers such as Alistair McGrath.
Like Answer to Life.
Answer to Life.
That's The God Delusion. The title of which work of 1986 on evolution and natural selection refers to an analogy used by William Paley in 1802 as the evidence...
Blind Watchmaker.
Yes. In which book of 1976 did Dawkins introduce the concept of cultural memes?
Selfish Gene.
Yes. Another other question. It's the Segrasinka and at the gong, Imperial have 170 and Queen's University Belfast also have 170. I think you know how this works, and it is to stay in the competition. We take the next starter from the top of the pile, and if you interrupt incorrectly, it's game over because you lose 5 points and you're out of the competition. If you get the answer correct, of course, you'll stay in the competition and have to play again for a place in the semi-finals. Fingers on buzzers then. Which British monarch was born in the same decade as the composers Domenico Scarlatti, George Friedrich Handel, and J.S. Bach?
Queen's Rankin.
George II.
It is George II. Oh, Clive, well played. What an absolutely sensational match with a ludicrous standard. Imperial, I'm so sorry. What a way to go out against a fantastic team in a brilliant competition. There's no discredit in that whatsoever, and you've upheld the enormous, enormous standards of previous Imperial teams. I want to ask if you had a good time, but it's probably the wrong time to ask that, isn't it?
No, we've had a great time. We've had a great time, and they're a fantastic team, so no shame in going.
Well, we've absolutely loved having you. You've been absolutely brilliant. Queens, that's a stressful way to get through to the next stage of this competition, and well done, Captain Daniel, on a brilliant intervention at the end to win it. We shall see you again. I hope we'll see you again for another quarter-final match. But until then, it is goodbye from Imperial.
Goodbye.
Bye.
It's goodbye from Queen's University Belfast.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me. Goodbye.